From having his shirt replaced to a Ballon d'Or favourite, Raphinha is having a turnaround this season. He's been producing magical performances under Flick. Whether it's the Champions League, La Liga, or the national team, Raphinha has been lights out. We will understand how Raphinha is playing so well by analysing his movements and decisions in recent matches. The first thing we will talk about is his playmaking ability. As we can see in this play, when Raphinha receives the ball, he has a clear option to play to his right back. But instead, notice, he faces the defender up. He is willing to take a 1 versus 1 in the middle of the field, which is so rare to see. The middle of the field is usually congested, as is on this play, and also losing the ball is more likely. However, Raphinha has the confidence to take this player on instead of playing simple, and manages to beat him. Instead of playing simply, he has now broken a line of pressure and advanced his team into a dangerous area. He's brave enough to do it and skilled enough to pull it off, which are traits the best playmakers in the world always have. Another way Raphinha attacks defences is by driving inside with combination plays. For example, we can see in this play Raphinha receives the ball and immediately plays it first time. But notice how after he passes, he doesn't stay still, but sprints into the space and in front of the Las Palmas defender. He's being direct and attacking the space, which allows him once again to break the midfield line and run at the defence. In this play, we can see as Raphinha plays it into the middle, the defender is ball watching. This allows for Raphinha to burst away from him. And then notice how once he finds himself in a dangerous situation, the defence steps to him and leaves Koundé open for a dangerous shot. This movement is so dangerous because it breaks down midfield lines easily and helps the team get into dangerous positions, all by just following your pass with intent. Raphinha's desire to attack the space aggressively is a huge reason he has averaged more than 1 goal contribution per game. Raphinha also creates a lot of danger with runs behind, which is probably his best trait. In this play, Raphinha does the offside trap run. As we can see, when Barcelona plays the ball back, Las Palmas steps up to try to close the space and play the offside trap. Raphinha outsmarts this by running in behind from deep. This way he won't be offside and his momentum will be going toward the goal while the backline is stepping up, which means if the ball is played, then he will be free with a lot of space. However, Frankie doesn't see him in this play. Similarly here, Lamine once again has the ball on the counter and Raphinha bursts forward. You can see how much separation he creates with just his speed, but this time the keeper makes a good play. If his teammate has a lot of space, then Raphinha looks for space behind to run. He doesn't have a set movement for this scenario, and instead looks for wherever the space is. We can see Martinez has space on the ball, so Raphinha looks for space behind. He sees that Lewandowski has drawn 1 centre-back out, so Raphinha sees this and runs into the space, but doesn't receive it. Again here, Pedri has time on the ball, and once he makes eye contact, he runs in behind into this space. The delivery doesn't reach him again. Most of the time he doesn't get the ball, but he does these runs at least 10 or more times a game. He knows that if he does this many runs, at least one will work out, and give him a chance to score, as the defence won't always be able to track runners each time. However, what he does more with his runs in behind is create space for his teammates. Here, as Pablo Torre checks, the centre-back wants to follow him. But notice how Raphinha then makes a run behind, which forces the centre-back to drop off to cover the more dangerous pass. This creates the space Torre needs to receive the ball. Again here, notice how even though Raphinha is around 10 yards away from the backline, he still tries to run in behind, even though it's unlikely he'll receive it. By doing this, notice how the backline drops back to follow him. Most teams' backlines aren't comfortable playing offside traps in these scenarios, and will follow the player back to make sure he won't score. Now Fermin has so much space to drive into, since Raphinha's run stretched the defence back. Now in this play, Raphinha is trying to score a goal himself by attempting to run into a huge gap in the defence. However, by doing this, he also draws the fullback inside, and this creates the space for Fermin to have a dangerous shot. So Raphinha's runs create space for him to score, his teammate to score, or do both at the same time. This shows how important runs in behind are, and that Raphinha is becoming a master at it. On top of being direct and having magnificent runs, Raphinha is also very good at finding pockets of space. In this play, we can see Pedri is pinned to the corner, so Raphinha stays in his position and doesn't check. But notice the second Pedri turns inside, Raphinha checks. This timing is so important because the second Pedri is turning inside, the centre-backs have to look at the ball to see where it is to position themselves accordingly. But Raphinha checks away right at that moment, so the centre-backs can't react to Raphinha's movement, and he's able to receive the ball in a pocket of space. In this play, Raphinha starts high, then notice as the defence is dropping back, Raphinha stops. Since he stops, it's as if the defence is running away from him, and this creates the space Raphinha needs. Then, if we skip a couple of seconds forward, he finds himself receiving the ball, and notice how once again with his touch too, he takes it the opposite way the defender is pressing. This allows him to cut inside and play a dangerous pass to Lewandowski, but Lewandowski doesn't make much out of the play. Here, as Hector Fort gets the ball, Las Palmas is shifting and cutting off passes into the half space. Raphinha notices this and knows that if the midfielder is shifting to the ball, then if he can get on his blind side, he will find himself in space, and the midfielder won't know because he's focused on the ball. By doing this, he leaves a congested space and finds a huge pocket of space instead. Now, if Lamine was able to play the ball to him, he would have a lot of space to receive and attack. As shown throughout the video, Raphinha usually always starts high, and by doing this, if he wants to drop deep to get on the ball, he usually can as defenders don't want to follow him back too far. So as long as he checks in at the right time, then he'll be able to receive. And when he finally gets the ball, he receives it while facing forward and looking to attack. Here, notice how after Raphinha knocks it down, he moves back. He does this for two reasons. The first is he gives more space for Frenkie to drive. The second is now he is on the blind side of the midfielder, and the midfielder's attention is on Frenkie, so Raphinha knows he can find space easier now. He causes confusion by doing this, as we can see the Las Palmas midfielder pointing for someone else to pick Raphinha up, but no one does. Then after Raphinha shifts across the gap, he finds himself receiving the ball in a dangerous area. Notice how he receives the ball. His body is facing out wide, so the Las Palmas defender starts to commit wide to stop him. But his turn receives the ball the other way, creating deception. This deception allows him to get enough space for a clean shot, which he ends up scoring brilliantly. I also want to talk about some very subtle things that show Raphinha's intelligence. For example, in this play, Kubasi doesn't have a clear option to pass forward. Notice how Raphinha then checks, instead of just sitting in the gap. This causes the winger to tuck in on Raphinha and opens up space for Koundé to receive a ball up the field. But if the winger stayed on Koundé, then Raphinha would have been able to receive. He puts defenders in difficult positions, and this allows for him or his team to advance the ball. The way Raphinha receives the ball too plays a part in how he creates so much danger. We can see here as Pedri plays the ball, Raphinha has pressure coming. Now, a lot of players would put their body in between the ball and the defender and face towards their own goal. However, Raphinha dares to receive the ball facing forward as much as possible, and this play allows him to play a pass that helps his team advance instead of a backward pass. We haven't touched on Raphinha's defensive aspect, but here is an example of his intelligence while defending. We can see there is a loose ball, and Raphinha starts sprinting to it. However, he sees Balde also going and knows if they both go, then this play will be left open. So he drops off and covers the pass, which leads to the pass out of bounds. That's all for today. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and check out our TikTok account in the description. Comment on players you want to be analysed in the future.